Hi everyone, it's Emily Graziano. It is Veterans Day 2022, and before we get into the topic of today's video, BK3, I'd just like to take a moment and say thank you to all the veterans out there who have served and are serving and keep this country safe. Special thank you to my grandfather, Bobby, my Uncle Alan, my cousin Michael, great Uncle Gene, great Uncle Tony, my great-grandfather DeNicola, and his brother, all of which who fought in various wars in the branch of the Army. Thank you so much. Special thank you to Les Wadley, who is also a vet. Thank you for all that you do, and we really appreciate you. Okay, getting to the topic of this video, I'd like to start off by saying, guys, I actually have the physical product, the vinyl release of BK3. Which I got for my birthday in 2021 from a very great friend. Thank you so much for sending it to me. I was very surprised and shocked, and it makes a great addition to my collection. So, BK3 was released February 2nd, 2010. Personally, I was in 8th grade when this album was released. And this album has a lot of guest artists on it. And in particular, this album was kind of mentioned on an episode of Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, episode called Gene the Croc Hunter, which aired May 2nd, 2010. It featured Bruce Kulick in the episode. He was performing with Nick at the release party in LA. There's actually a clip of that on YouTube. You can just look up like Bruce Kulick and Nick Simmons, and you will find them performing their song that they did together, Hand of the King, which I'll talk about when we get to the song. I vaguely remember when this album came out. I vaguely remember the buzz for the album, but I remember the episode of Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, and I'm like, oh, Bruce has a new album coming out. So, but it quickly faded because 8th grade, I wasn't very happy in 8th grade. It was just I don't want to say tumultuous time. I'm not going to say that, but it was just an unhappy time. 8th grade was very unhappy. So I try to remove that from my mind, but I kind of remember this on Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, like Bruce being on there, but I'd like to watch the episode again. In fact, I'd love to watch that whole show again. But anyway, this album, like I said, it has, oh shoot, how many tracks does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tracks on here, and Bruce, he alternates between singing lead and then also having guests and friends on there. So that's pretty cool. But what I found personally is that Bruce's songs are like very emotional and deeply rooted. Like these, if I had to compare this to anything, like this is like an album, the solo songs that Bruce does, it's like his anomaly. He's very reflective and deeply emotional about his songs. And then the songs where he has guests and friends, they're the more rock songs, like the songs that you would typically find on a Bruce Kulick album. So it's an interesting contrast. And this album is dedicated to his dog, Joe, the audio dog, who by this point probably passed away, which that is so sweet that he dedicated this album to his dog and to his dad. And with that, let's just get started on the tracks. Okay, the first track on here is called Fate, and Bruce is actually singing. It's just him. This is a fun garage rock sound, and it's everything cool about Bruce Kulick that you would want in a song, and I can't imagine this album starting off any other way. So I think it's a really great way to start off the album. Next song, Ain't Gonna Die, is with Gene Simmons on lead, and he also co-wrote the song. Gene personally says as part of the lyrics, I don't get a damn if you like this song. And it's like, oh, Gene, isn't that what you would expect of Gene? So that's kind of funny. Gene, he'll really be immortal, and this song, I think, will immortalize him because he's never gonna die. He ain't gonna die. So I find that kind of like tongue-in-cheek, kind of personally. I mean, he's a demon after all. Isn't that the #1 rule of any supernatural thing? Like I don't care what supernatural TV show you watch, or even maybe if you watch the show Supernatural, which, disclaimer, I never saw Supernatural. Like, I'm not a fan, but if you know somebody who is a fan, you know stuff about the show. It's just kind of that show. demons do not stay dead, and Gene is no exception. He will never die. He ain't gonna die. So I thought it was really fun that Gene came on and collaborated with Bruce. This is, as far as I could find, this was a completely original song written for this album. It's not like, oh, it's something we cut off a Carnival of Souls, Revenge. It's not like that. Apparently, it's completely just written for this song, so that's really cool. For this album, rather, so that's really cool. Okay, the next song, No Friend of Mine. And this one features John Corabi on the lead, and he also co-wrote it. This is very interesting because Corabi's gritty voice, but then the melody and the tempo are kind of laid back, so it has this pretty interesting balance, and I find that really cool. I think it's a great song, and it's a great addition on this album. You know, it's always cool when Bruce collaborates with like, friends and people who he used to be in bands with, so that's really great. It's a welcome addition, I think. Okay, next song, Hand of the King, featuring Nick Simmons. He's singing lead, and Nick also co-wrote this with Bruce. Now, there are elements of Gene's voice present in Nick's voice. Like, you hear it, and you feel it, and you're like, yeah, that's, like, I hear Gene within Nick, which is really cool. But then I've also heard that Nick's voice also has some similarities to Jim Morrison, like a younger Gene Morrison. Jim Morrison, sorry. Why did I say Gene? I don't know. Maybe Gene Simmons is still on the brain. But Jim Morrison, so that was really interesting. It's like, yeah, you kind of do get, it's like a combo of like Gene and Jim. So that's really cool. And personally, I really like the lyrics of this song. It's just really interesting. I think these lyrics on the album are the most interesting of all of them on here. So this may be one of my favorites. If I had to choose a favorite, I'd say this one actually, because the lyrics are just really cool. Okay, next song, I'll Survive. And this is Bruce on lead. This is one of his quote-unquote solo songs with no guest. This is a deeply reflective and personal song. And it makes you think, what did Bruce go through before he wrote this song? Like, I found it very interesting. And it's like, well, he didn't, like, as far as we know, he didn't, like, have a cancer scare or anything like that. And it's like, I wonder, did he write this song for somebody in his personal life or someone he knew? So that was very interesting. But it's, you feel the emotion in it, and that's really, really interesting. Okay, so that was the last song on side 1. So flip it over. The first song on side 2, Dirty Girl, featuring Doug Fieger. I hope I pronounced his name right. Now, I'm going to say something. This is my least favorite song on the album, but I will tell you why. It deserves an explanation. These lyrics are kind of juvenile. And I say juvenile because it sounds like the songs that I heard growing up on Disney Channel. Like, Disney Channel music execs would write these, like, catchy songs about, like, oh, the girl next door, the boy next door, that kid at school, or us hanging out at the amusement park, or just like silly teen love songs. And aside from the title Dirty Girl, which wouldn't be allowed on Disney Channel, the lyrics themselves and the way that the song is arranged and the way that the lyrics are, it's kind of like, well, this is like a title change away from being on Radio Disney and being like a Disney Star song. So that reminded me a lot of my childhood, kind of in a cringy way. But with that being said, the vocals are good. It just, I don't like the lyrics. And I will say this song actually has guitar because naturally Bruce is playing it. So it has better guitar than those stupid poppy songs that I heard growing up on Disney Channel. A better voice, but it's just the lyrics are so similar, and it's like, oh no, this is exactly what you'd expect if you turned on Disney Channel and you'd see like this cheesy graphics music video of teens hanging out at the amusement park and the guy singing in the garage and with his little band, and it's just like, oh, this is bad. So that's my least favorite song on the album. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but not what I would expect to hear, like lyrics-wise or arrangement-wise, on a Bruce Kulick album. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, moving on. Final Mile, and this is one with Bruce on lead. I enjoy this song. It's like a chilled out song, but with an edge to it, which makes it very unique. I enjoyed it. It was a good song. Okay, next, I'm the Animal with Tobias Sammet and Eric Singer on drums. This is a fun collaboration from Bruce. You know, it's fun to hear Eric Singer. I think Tobias has a great voice. I don't know who he is, but I think he has a great voice. It changes it up on this album. And guys, the fact that Eric Singer is allowed to be Eric Singer on this album and not Peter Criss 2.0 is so refreshing, and it makes you remember, hey, guess what? Remember Blondie Eric when he played on Revenge and Carnival of Souls? Well, this is like a continuation of that Eric, and it's like, this is so wonderful. So I really think it was awesome that Eric Singer was on this album too. I really did that. Next song, And I Know. And this song kind of gives me like summertime vibes for some reason. That's what I wrote down. It's like radio friendly. Plus it's a love song, and to me that always like screams summer, like summer love. And but it's not too cheesy. I think it's really sweet. And again, that's Bruce on lead. So singing lead, that is. So I thought that was really fun. Up next, Between the Lies, and this features Steve Lukather. I hope I said his last name right. I know what it's like when people butcher my last name, so I always try to pronounce it right. Steve, this is an instrumental, and again, this is a very Ace move, which I think is very welcome, because if other people were doing it, I think it's like, oh, you're just trying to show off. But no, with Bruce, with people like Bruce and Ace, it's like, no, you're a guitarist first and foremost, and it doesn't really bother you if you don't sing lead on all your albums. And, you know, I just need a song where I'm just allowed to jam out, and this is this track for this album. So Between the Lines is really an interesting piece. I enjoy it. It's a very Ace move, like I said, but no one's going to protest that. It's very welcome. Okay, next song on here, the last song. It's called Life. This is the laying all your feelings on the line. Bruce asks some really thought-provoking, like he says some really thought-provoking statements in this song that like beg the listener to question the deeper things of life than it's very philosophical and the bigger picture of life, and I think it's very interesting. And Bruce, he's a very interesting man because he talks about like love and faith and hardships, and it's like, Bruce, you're really interesting. So you're very sensitive, and you're showing your sensitive side. I think that's pretty interesting for a guy who plays in a rock and roll band. It's always very, very cool, I think. Overall, this is just a really cool album. Here's the inner sleeve, and it's on a nice red, not demon red, but I think it's like a nice cherry red actually. And there's kind of like, I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but there's instances of like these white little swirls, but it's very faint. I don't think it will show up on camera. So yeah. So that's really fun. Overall, I think this is a great album. I really like it. I now need to get Audio Dog and Transformer because it's like, well, I have this. I need to get the other one. So one day maybe I will get the physical product of the other ones. Oh, here's the back if I didn't show that already. But Bruce looks really cool on this. I wish I would have remembered when this album was coming out better, but like I said, I vaguely remember it, and I'd love to watch that episode of Nick and Bruce on Gene's show. That would be really fun, like just as an adult it would be fun. So again, great album, everybody. I think it's really great, and hopefully Bruce, it would be cool to see Bruce come out with another album. Like it would be really welcome. Like Ace keeps pumping out albums, hopefully, and then Bruce, if he came out with another album, it's like you're gonna put out albums and Kiss isn't. So haha, that would be just a funny, ironic instance. I would get a real kick out of it. But anyway, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I've heard suggestions maybe I should do Black and Blue or maybe Vinny, but it's like, do I really want to go down Vinny Vincent? Maybe I could do some of Peter Criss's album reviews. Like, It'd be difficult, but it would force me to listen to every song, so I'm not sure. But I think the next thing I'm going to do, I may do like a top 25 movies video, but I don't know. That would be really interesting. It's very hard to do like a top 25 movies video, because you start thinking, okay, I need to put this, and this on there. Like, it has to be on there. And then you're at like 15 and you're like, I have to like really think about this, so it's harder than you think. But anyway, I'm Emily Graziano. This has been my review on Bruce Kulick, BK3. Do you guys know this album? Have you heard it? Do you own it? What do you think about it? Thank you for watching this video. Again, thank you to all the veterans out there, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.